In the words of Buddha, in the end, only three things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. In today's fast-paced and challenging world, navigating successful relationships can feel daunting, especially for men. Often we find ourselves stumbling when it comes to setting boundaries and being emotionally vulnerable. But fear not, because in this video, we'll dive deep into 5 essential behaviors that smart men should avoid when interacting with women. By steering clear of these pitfalls, you'll not only become more attractive to women, but also feel stronger in your relationships. And remember, these insights aren't just for Buddhists, they're for anyone seeking to uphold their dignity and integrity in relationships. So, let's explore how ancient Zen practices can inform our approach to interactions with women. 1. Compromising on your dreams and aspirations. In the words of Buddha, if you do not get it from yourself, where will you go for it? It's common for men to feel pressured to sacrifice their own ambitions and desires to prioritize the needs and expectations of their partners. However, Buddhism teaches us that true fulfillment comes from aligning with our authentic selves and pursuing our unique paths in life. Think about it. Have you ever put aside your dream job offer in another city because your partner didn't want to move away from their family? Can you recall sacrificing your passion project or hobby to accommodate your partner's need for more attention or time together? Men will acquiesce more often than you think. While maintaining a relationship is important, it's also essential for us to recognize that compromising our own dreams and aspirations can lead to inner turmoil and a sense of disconnection from our true purpose. By prioritizing personal growth and self-fulfillment, we can cultivate a strong sense of identity and resilience, which ultimately enriches our relationships. One concrete way to apply this principle is through the Buddhist practice of mindfulness. Write down everything you want from your life and your relationship. This is the benchmark that will help keep your identity in check. This practice allows us to stay grounded in our personal truth, even in the face of external pressures or expectations. 2. Prioritizing her over family and friends. Imagine you are carrying 2 buckets of water, one on each shoulder. One bucket overflows, constantly sloshing and making your journey difficult. The other bucket is bone dry, offering no support. The overflowing bucket is your dedication to a partner's desires. It weighs you down and prevents you from nurturing other aspects of your life. The empty bucket represents your neglected friends and family. What does this mean? A balanced life, like a balanced load, requires attention to both. Buddhism teaches the importance of tranquility and balance in all walks of life, especially relationships, recognizing that placing undue emphasis on one individual can lead to imbalance and suffering. When we prioritize our romantic partners over everyone else in our lives, we risk neglecting important relationships and responsibilities. To apply this Buddhist principle in relationships, it's essential to cultivate a sense of balance and harmony. This might involve setting boundaries and communicating openly with both your partner and other important people in your life. For example, instead of always prioritizing date nights with your partner, make an effort to spend quality time with friends and family as well. Schedule regular activities that involve both your partner and other loved ones. Remember, true love and respect encompasses honoring all relationships, not just romantic ones. 3. Letting them walk all over you. We are sometimes taught to suppress emotions and prioritize keeping the peace, which could lead us to stay silent or become submissive in a relationship. This dynamic can be reinforced by societal expectations of masculinity. In Buddhism, the concept of metta, or loving kindness, teaches us to extend compassion and goodwill, not only to others, but also to ourselves. While it's important to understand and accommodate in relationships, it's equally crucial to maintain self-respect and boundaries. One concrete piece of Buddhist advice for men is to practice the principle of karuna, or compassion towards oneself. While wanting to please your partner is admirable, prioritizing their happiness above your own can backfire. You risk losing yourself, building resentment, and creating an imbalanced dynamic. This can make you vulnerable to manipulation and damage your self-esteem. Remember, a healthy relationship thrives on mutual respect and open communication, not one-sided submission. Buddhists would very likely opt for the middle way. This is the path of moderation that avoids extremes and that leads to enlightenment. 4. Spending on them recklessly. In Buddhism, the principle of dana, or generosity, teaches us the value of giving freely and selflessly. While generosity is indeed a noble virtue in Buddhism, it's essential to exercise discernment and mindfulness, especially when it comes to financial matters in relationships. We've all been there, trying to impress a potential partner with overly expensive dates and extravagant gifts, or covering all our partner's expenses regardless of our own income. The Buddhist advice for us in this predicament is to practice the concept of samma vayama, or the right effort, in managing finances within relationships. This involves you finding a balance between being generous and responsible with money. Ensure that financial decisions align with your partner's values and goals. Needless to say, if left unchecked, this financial stress can bleed into other areas of life, causing tension and arguments with family. It could also force you to cut back on essential needs like rent, groceries, or healthcare. This will impact not only your quality of life in the long run, but will also put a strain on the relationship. This is why it must be controlled. The Buddha reminds us that purity or impurity depends on oneself. No one can purify another. 5. Competing with other men for status, especially around women. It's human nature to want to compete with others. However, competition with other men is because of our need to indulge our possessiveness and jealousy. In romantic relationships, this insecurity undermines trust and progressively leads to toxicity. The Buddhists used to practice the concept of anatta, or non-self. This involves understanding that our sense of identity and worth does not depend on comparisons with others or external validation. By letting go of the need to compete with other men for status or approval, you can cultivate a sense of inner confidence and self-assurance. You are a person with your own quirks and tastes. It shouldn't be up to you to consistently justify yourself in public to hold up an image in front of your partner. But that's usually not the case. We engage in subtle feuds with other men by showing off our desirable traits like wealth, status, or masculinity without directly bragging. It's like a peacock showing off its feathers, a subtle display meant to catch the eye. For example, you might wear a Rolex but avoid mentioning its price, letting the brand speak for itself. The Buddhist concept of upeksha also offers a way to navigate this social competition. Upeksha is about cultivating a balanced and detached mind, free from emotional highs and lows. Instead of playing a role to impress, you can focus on developing genuine connections with your partner based on shared interests. This creates a more sustainable foundation for a relationship, rather than viewing her as a status symbol. We can transcend the need to compete with other men and instead cultivate a sense of worth and confidence that emanates from within us. This will not only keep us sane in a very materialistic world, but will also help in fostering deeper and more meaningful connections with our partners. In the wise words of Buddha, ambition is like love, impatient of both delays and rivals. Navigating relationships with wisdom and compassion requires us to transcend common pitfalls and societal pressures. By integrating Buddhist principles into our lives, we can cultivate qualities of balance, self-respect, and generosity, fostering healthier connections with our partners. Remember, true fulfillment arises from aligning with one's authentic self and fostering mutual respect in relationships.